Sales tax and discounts. One thing you'll notice right away is that I've put a couple of things onto my sheet that you don't have on yours yet. Because I decided this morning it'd be kind of nice for me to put on some of the formulas and some of the steps that we're going to do. So take a moment, if you would, and I'm going to talk a little bit about these while you're jotting some of this down, just to kind of help you out. And again, this will be helpful when we get to the quiz on this stuff because, well, it's always nice to have an example available. But okay, when we're talking about having a price, okay, and you're increasing or decreasing the amount of money that it costs, basically when you're trying to figure that out, if the price goes up from what it was originally to what it is now, you see an increase in the price. Numbers 1 and 2 would be examples of that. The original price was 50, it went up to 80, that's an increase in price. 90 went up to 100, it's an increase in price. However, if the new price is less, then you've seen a decrease. It's almost like having a sale or a discount. So, number 3, originally it was 45 bucks, now it's only 20. So, it's a decrease in price. But if we're asked to figure out how much of a change, what percentage of a change it's increasing or decreasing, there's a formula for that to help us out. I can't just say it went from 50 to 80, so it went up 30%. That's not the way this works. So the formula that we have working with this is going to be, you take the bigger number, whichever one it is, and it doesn't matter if it's the original or the new, subtract the smaller value from it, but we're always going to divide by the original price. That's never going to change. And since that would get me a decimal, and I want a percentage, that's why the times 100 part comes in. So when I go to do this, so here, my bigger number is 80, my smaller one's 50, and then my original value was 50. Now, instead of typing this all into the calculator at once and possibly getting myself into a little bit of an issue, which can happen, here's my plan. Once I get out of graphing mode, I like to do things in parts. So I'm just going to do 80 minus 50 first. I'm going to jot that down quick so I can see if I look at this later what's going on. So then I do 30 divided by 50. And here's what I was talking about with this being a decimal. When I multiply this out, I get this 0.6, but 0.6 isn't the percentage that it went up in price. To get the percentage, I move the decimal place to the right, or I multiply by 100. You multiply by 100 when you get to the very end. Once you've subtracted the numbers up top and then divided by the 50 in this case, that decimal, that's what you're going to multiply by the 100. Because that's how we're turning the decimal into a percentage. And that never changes on any of these. It's always big minus small, divided by what the original price is. That's the one nice thing about this. There's no twists. That's just, what's that? So 100 minus 90 is 10. And then again, I'm going to do 10 divided by 90. Now, if you get something with a bunch of decimals like that, just go to a couple of places with it. That's okay. And then I'll actually just use that. So the 0.11 times 100 says it's about an 11% increase in value. So the only thing we're really paying any attention to is the whole increase or decrease part. So again, doesn't matter that this time the original price is bigger, I'm still doing bigger minus smaller. And I'm always dividing by the original. So let's see, 45 minus 20 is 25. Now, this time, yes, I was going to say, we're going to do 0.56 because when we go to round, if that third number is 5 or above, we have to round up. So once we do that, we times it by 100, and that's a big old decrease in the price. That's a good sale. Now some of you may say, okay, what's this big deal about all of this stuff with tax and discounts and stuff? Because, you know, the register does all this stuff anyway. And in a lot of ways that's true. But just a kind of quick real life story, even though your cash register can do all these things, pressing the things in and understanding what's going on is a little bit different. Because, for instance, a couple of years ago, I've told this story in other classes, went to Kohl's, had like a coupon card with me for 30% off. So I went over to the clearance rack and I picked something off the clearance rack that was 70% off. So I walk up to the front and put down the item, put down my coupon, and the checker, honest story, looks at it and goes, oh, this is 70% off and you have a 30% off coupon. That's 100% off. She took the thing, put it in the bag, and sent me on my way. Didn't make me spend anything. Now some of you may be looking at me going, yeah, that's right. It's not, because you get the 70% off, then you get the 30% off of that. So I did go back in a few minutes and talk to one of the managers. Didn't say who the employee was, but I said, you might want to talk to him a little bit about this. So we're actually going to talk about that here in a little bit too. So hopefully if you're working in a store, you don't have that happen, because, yeah, that'd be bad. People start walking out of the store with all this stuff. 70. Yeah, I'll explain a little bit here why it's not really just 70 and 30 equaling 100, because they're things that get done separately. So we'll definitely talk about that a little bit. So okay, sales tax, kind of being able to calculate in your head, or even if you have a calculator, what the price is going to be, because nothing feels worse than going up and you're checking out for something, then you ran out of money. So when we're doing these, we're going to do two things. We're going to calculate the tax, and then whatever that tax is, we're going to add that to the price. So there's two steps to this. So my first step is to take the cost of whatever it is I'm buying. Now here's the part that's tricky. Anybody know how to turn 4% into its decimal form? Close. We're real close. It's something like that. 0.04. Now if you're not sure how to do that, and you're going to be like, wait a minute, we just got done times by 100. Now you're going to have me divide? Yes. If I want to turn the percent back into a decimal, I just divide by 100. So that's this 0.04. So I'm going to multiply my $24 times 0.04. And whatever that comes out to be, that's my tax. So, right, we just multiply to calculate our tax. We did the price times the decimal version of my tax. Right, if I don't know how to get from the 4% to the decimal form, because some of you know that off the top of your head, but if you don't, you can take the tax and divide it by 100 to get the decimal if you need to. So then my last job is to take the price plus the tax, and that'll be how much we end up with. So it is. It's not anything that's too bad. So no matter what the price of our item is, and again, if I don't know how to turn that into a decimal, you're like, okay, you take whatever the percentage there says, 0.5, and divide by 100. So whatever that sales tax is as a decimal, that's what I'm going to times the 142 by. So my sales tax is going to be $7.81. And once I have my tax calculated, I'm just going to add that. And that's how much I'd be spending when I walked out of the store after sales tax. But the concept isn't going to change on any of these. We're just going to keep doing the same couple of things. So here I've got a calendar with some sales tax. Again, I can either move my decimal 2 places to the right, or I can let the calculator help me.
Wait, why did you, it says 78, so why did you move the down?
Say that again.
It says 78.
Did you get .055, or did you get an extra 0 in there when you were coming to the 781 here?
It says I put 0.55.
No, it's not 0 point, it's .055. You got to get a 0 in there. Yeah, because you're right, because you did .55, that'd be totally different. So here, I take my price, times my tax as a decimal. So let's see here, 1095. Now, you're like, wait a minute. Now, what's going on here? I've never seen money in this form. And you're right, I'm not going to write that whole thing. I got to round this to the nearest cent. So when we talk about cents, we talk about 2 decimal places. But the 1's going to make me round down. So I'm just going to go to 82 cents. I don't want .82125 because we don't talk about money that way. So we're going to round if we need to onto the nearest cent. And then again, we're just going to add that 82 cents. Dude, what's that?
Do we get a run through for that website?
No, I wouldn't jump up and down and scream.
My teacher last year.
Yeah, there's certain battles I will take on. There's other ones I won't.
She helped jump up and down and scream.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, she also learned jump-ups.
Oh dear.
Miss Adams. And she sang songs every lesson.
I hate it.
All right. Now, here's one thing that we're also going to keep going. Well, part of it's just figuring out whether we're adding or subtracting something. That's the biggest thing with these. Because when it's tax, you think about it, you're having to pay that. It makes the price higher on something. If it's a discount, okay, it's going to be calculated the same way we just did with tax, except we're going to subtract this time. So for instance here, okay, so 15%, so I'm going to use 0.15. So I'm going to do 16 times 0.15 to figure out what my discount's going to be. So my discount's going to be $2.40. But then since it's a discount, that's a good thing for me. So I'm going to subtract it this time. Because I don't want to pay more with a discount. That's not much of a discount. I might think about that when I grow up and get older. I'll have to think about that a little bit.
You really care shit look.
That day, no,
So, but when we're doing these, and again, we'll just do one more here because I want to be able to get you going when we get the homework done.
You dress up like a specific student.
Teachers are supposed to.
I know, okay.
So,
do that a lot, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I was even cool. I even brought it up through my shirt like people do, because you know what? Y'all can't see it when I do it that way. So $28 times my 28% student discount. Somebody likes the number 28. I don't know. That's going to be my discount. And then we're going to take that and subtract it from my original price. Oops, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you should just look at yesterday. It always lands like this.
Okay. Now, there will be a few that are a little more deep in what we need to do. I'm going to scooch this just a little. We get to put these together. So when we get down here, we got to do them in steps. So here, 2 parts. So I'll kind of split this up here. First one, take my price times my discount. It's just taking the 2 things and we're going to put them all together, and we'll pause for a minute. So when we take our television, we're trying to figure out the discount here. See how much we're going to get to take off the price before we got to pay the government back their tax here. Okay. So $93.75 is the discount that I'm getting on this TV. So I'm going to subtract that from the price of the TV. Now, that gives me my discounted price, okay? So it's $281.25, but I'm not done, because I still have to figure out what the final price is going to be. So here's the last part. I'm going to take that price and I'm going to multiply it by the tax. So it just kind of all builds together. Now again here, remember when we're talking about dollars and cents, we don't talk with 3 decimal places, we only talk with 2. So is this going to be 87 cents or 88? 88 because of the 5. So that's my tax, and then this is the last step and we're done. Take my discounted price and add some tax. Isn't it amazing how quick these cash registers can do all this stuff and just know?
Yeah, if I can do this, I would scream.
Well, that's what I know what I'm doing.
Oh, I was talking to dude, though.
Well, that's like
Alright, it's gonna be
So $298.13 would be my final price after the discount and my tax.
you add them together.
Yeah, you take that new price, then you're just going to add the tax to it. It's just a process that you kind of get used to doing after a bit. So you're like, all right, maybe. Well, we're only going to do number 11. So if you need the number 12 space, huh?
There's not enough room to do 12.
Well, that's okay. We're only going to do 11.
So we don't have to do
We don't have to do 12. Again, dividing by 100 will get me my decimals. So once I get rolling, take the price times my discount as a decimal. Oh, calculator turned off. So $53.80 is my discount. So I'm going to subtract that from the $269. Okay, so that's my sale price. But unfortunately, I still have to give the government their share.
City governor?
If they shut down
Uh-huh.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Wasn't it today or yesterday?
No, it was yesterday.
that was yesterday.
Yeah, we don't care about fall.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see here.
My sister.
$15. How many cents on this one?
Yeah, they won't pack them, right?
6 or 7?
7, 6.
6. Well done.
Good job.
So $215.20. Give the government back their tax, and we're done with this guy. Now again, you won't see many problems that are like this. Most of the time I'm just going to ask you for a discount or I'm going to ask you for the tax. But just in case, it's always good to have a little bit of a backup plan. Now, what's that? Yes. And there's only one thing I'm going to say on the homework sheet and I'm going to get out of the way. Speaking of the homework, when we get to here, a couple things to make mention of. Homework check 7. This will be assignment number 4, which will be the last one for the homework check on Friday. So we've got the 4 back there that are ready to go. And I made an extra little help up here at the top. No big, huge problems on this sheet, just the one-steppers. So again, if it says tax or if it says markup, we're going to add it to the price. If it says discount, we're going to subtract it from the price. And basically that's it. They're all going to be one-steppers, figure it out, go, and be done. Just like we did in the first examples on the notes. Okay? So on that note, I am done. I will give you some time to work.